Yeah, there's still a bit of time for some questions. So, yeah, any questions, anyone? No questions. That's okay.
Are you shy, eh?
You said you'd like to be paid for what you do.
One day, eventually, like what Lisa said, I know that if, ultimately I'll have to be getting paid for what I do, but in saying that I get other rewards as if I was getting paid. So, I think anything you'd love to get paid in your dream job, and heaps of it.
Where do you think the money would come from?
Either have to go and get funding for it, or be like MSD or something like that, something like that eventually, yeah. Or I've had like job offers all over the place, sort of thing, but it's not taking me away from what I'm doing at Smeaton's, but it's not. I don't really want to work for government agencies. You know what I mean? You don't have the freedom. Sorry if there's any here. You don't have the freedom of doing what you do. There's always red tape. Yeah, and so the benefit of me not working for anybody is doing what I've been doing in Smeaton's, because I've achieved a whole lot in 2 years than people have in 20, 30 years of what they've done. So, yeah.
You probably put a dollar value on it too, couldn't you, if people want to do that, because it means that there's a whole lot, there's damage getting done.
Just like speaking, this person, like I do what this other person does, and she gets paid $2,000 for speech. It's like,
We've got some banana cake up.
Yeah.
So there you are, you're
for
on
an
the road.
hour then.
There's no questions for us, but I'd like to pose a question for you. Sorry, shut up.
Steve, you just were saying that you do some work for 2 mentoring organisations locally.
Yep.
Can you tell us a bit about
Business Mentors of New Zealand.
Yes.
That's a volunteer institution that's totally free. And the other one's called ISAC, ISAAC, and it's an Australian-based mentoring organisation that lends itself to developing professional competency in people.
And that's, you have to pay for that one?
Yep, I have to pay to belong to it, actually.
Right.
The other, I'm crazy. The first one's free. And I have an hour with my mentees most lunchtimes, and they come and talk privately about their staff problems, how they want to grow their business, where the business is going off the rails. And I've got a family of Klingons going back 10 years now that won't let me out of their life.
Cut them, mate, cut them.
But the fact that there's no money involved kind of makes it quite special,
Yes.
and hopefully they'll get what they need, and they do out of me.
And what do you get?
I get some amazing stuff, actually. I find myself in all sorts of weird situations daily here with my projects that I do. I walk away with just knowing what works and knowing how to empathise with people. That's the big one, how to empathise with other people's situation without letting it overcome my own judgment. That's a really powerful thing when you consider what life can do to you in the course of a day, to stand back from yourself a little bit and look at how you're going. That's what these people give me. And I don't care what life chucks at me every day. I'm okay with it, with myself. Bring it on. Does that make sense? I know there's no money involved in that, but it's an intangible tool I carry with me in life. I should be paying them, to be honest with you.
The best things in life don't have a financial value.
Yeah. You're welcome. A question I was going to ask, but I'll answer yours first, yeah.
Do you think that the society makes it easier for men to be leaders?
Uh-huh.
I find that there are a lot more male leaders, but and they're probably more out there, and it's not a slight.
Okay, I'm going to probably...
Woman, I in my life, in my journey of my life, I'm sort of discovering there are women out there, and I think, wow, you are absolutely awesome, but you don't hear of them so much.
I think, unfortunately...
Does that therefore influence how many women do actually become leaders?
I think society is male-dominated, has been for a very long time, which I think's sad. Something makes me very, very emotional. Mother's Day, when Mother's Day comes around, you look in the local newspapers and see what children say about their mums. you know?
Yeah.
If there's anything that validates the power of leadership is what children say about their mothers. Statements like, she's always there for me. She takes me to cool places. That's the stuff that leaders should do. And I happen to think it's damn sad that women have been put down for many, many years and prevented from ascending high leadership, high management roles. I'm probably alienating myself against every male person in this room, but I don't care. I think women have the gift of leading. It's natural, you know. And as a male, I feel a bit inferior, to be honest with you, particularly in situations that are involving change and judgment having to be made quickly. You women do that so well. You just do
You're
it
right
so
there.
well.
You're right there.
I'm not saying that to please the woman here, but
Keep you on.
Also, I have a son who was a born leader. I mean, from the day he was born, you could tell. And he has charmed the socks off his teachers right through school. Got away with murder that other kids would have probably been suspended for. He's never ever done homework in his life and got away with it. And his teachers are turned around and said he's wonderful. And he's now at university. And he's just an amazing leader. And I look at him and I think he gets away with a lot more than what other female equals of him would get away with, purely by sex.
I want to see women ascend into, you know, really high positions. You've got the power, and I think males can learn a hell of a lot of what you women have innately and probably don't even know what you've got by way of leadership influence. I happen to be one of Daniel Goleman's disciples, the power of emotional intelligence. You know, I was listening to Neil Armstrong talking the other day, and he said, in his humble view, we can achieve more through relationships than we can through technical skills. And that's where I think you women have really, really got it. You know, your masters at relationship management and manipulation. I mean, I look back on my life when I was a young kid,
What was
growing
that
up
last word?
Manipulation's fine.
I look back when I was around sort of 9 or 10, up in Paihia Primary School, running around on the paddock, beating the hell out of any other guy that I could find to, you know, get into trouble with. Us guys were dumb, we were beating each other up, you know, working out who was stronger. Do you know what the girls were doing? They were forming networks, they were forming relationships, they were working out who was dressed in a certain way. They were working out emotional intelligence. We were the dumb ones. And I think that's a distinct advantage you carry with you in business and professional life and personal life, and it's wonderful.
And yet holds women back in business.
Sorry?
That holds women back in business.
I think it's really sad.
No, I think a big part of the reason why there's not so many women who are leaders, and particularly in roles like as CEOs of big companies and that, is because we have children. And it's one of the most remarkable things that no one else can do in the world that we do remarkably well. And if we wanted to go down that path, I see how they work in Auckland, and I see the commitment they have to be at that level that those guys are at that I'm dealing with. You would have to choose. And I meet some of these women in Auckland who are in high-powered jobs and huge salaries, but they've sacrificed other things. And I think one thing that women need to, I think, focus a little bit more on, and we've forgotten, is that being a mum, like you said, is it is the biggest leadership role you could ever have.
That's right.
And I think women for a little while went through a stage of undervaluing that role that we already do. And unfortunately, what happened was because we undervalued it, society undervalued it. Which is why, don't get me going on that one though. Be here all day, and that's a different subject really, isn't it?
Something I'd like to add to this conversation that we're having is that in my research I'm looking at Sir Ernest Shackleton's leadership style, pulling that apart, working out how can we use those wonderful attributes for managing the intellectual and creative power that knowledge workers have. There's a lot there. Do you know, one of the key characteristics Shackleton always felt a little bit uncomfortable is he felt he was also very, very feminine. He felt he had a woman inside of him, you know, which kind of sounds a bit weird. And he developed that from having 8 sisters in his childhood. Now, there are times in the Antarctic, after the Endurance was crushed by ice, he found himself in some pretty dire situations with his crew all around him. Do you know, in some of the wee hours of the morning, he would go up to someone that was looking a bit sad and ask them, you know, how are you feeling? Is there anything I can do to help you? Sometimes giving them his clothing. Those aren't normally male characteristics. That's normally a very feminine view on nurturing life and carrying it on. And he always had this dichotomy in his mind. He was part feminine, part male, and he had a lot of trouble with that. But that is possibly why his leadership style is revered in the world as being so damn influential, and why a lot of American learning institutions are harnessing the power of that to actually care about others. He had it in bucket loads. Yeah.